Shut up and sit down.
Alright, welcome back everybody to episode 14 of the Rebel Trading Group podcast. My name is Nathan Oliphant, and with me as always is the gluten-free Jason Bessing.
The gluten-free Jason Bessing. I like to obnoxiously talk over you when I do that.
That's okay. I like it when you interrupt me.
I feel like it gives it a very, radio-y vibe.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Nate? How is things? It's been a while, I feel like.
Yeah. When was our last cast? Friday?
It was Thursday.
Thursday into Friday.
Yeah. I've been busy, man. I'm tired.
Yeah, I went to a music fest this weekend.
Freaking exhausted. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. How was that?
It was a lot of fun. It was long. It was relaxing. It was on the
Good
beach.
for you. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. The beaches out there are really nice. There's no waves, but I guess, I don't know. I guess that's not really a game changer for most people, but it's kind of cool to play in the waves. I always thought.
They blocked off the actual beach, with a fence. We were on the sand.
Oh, yeah, they don't want drunk people going in there.
I guess they don't want the public.
They can't promote that. Yeah, that's true, too. Well, cool.
Yeah,
ready to get back to a podcast?
Yeah, want to hit us with those numbers, man?
Yeah. So first of all, we are recording on Wednesday, May the 2nd. May the 2nd be with you. And markets closed just about an hour ago. Dow closing down 174 points. S&P down 19 points. NASDAQ down 29 points. Bitcoin She's sitting at $9,166. She seems to be wanting to stay above 9,000. Interestingly enough. I don't know how I feel about that though. So, only 7,000 Bitcoin have been traded in the past 24 hours. I feel like that's a small number.
That is very small. I remember seeing it in 26.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe is the trading gone? Is this sideways movement? Is this low volume? Someone's waiting for some move? I don't know.
Waiting for some whales.
Interesting.
You want some Darren McFadden? Is that who it was? 50 cents. Some 50 cent coming in, scooping up a bunch of freaking sell orders. Give me all the Bitcoin.
Erase them. Just shink.
Just hang on. Hodl your way up back to 20,000.
So if you put in an order for 200 Bitcoin, would it really literally take 5 from this price, and then when you go up to the next price, take all that until it adds up to 240?
I'm sure there's
or 200 Bitcoin.
I don't know how the algorithm works on each exchange, because there's like I was showing you, there's a certain number of Bitcoin being sold at that price.
Mm-hmm.
At the said price. And I don't know if it has to go through all the orders. I don't know.
I kind of want to just sit here and trade every time it makes $1.
You think so?
I mean, it's just tempting. I'm watching this number just tick up and down. I'm like,
it's hypnotizing, isn't it?
Click. It's stupid. So what's going on with market news with Nathan Oliphant?
Let's get it.
I kind of hit you out that one. I'll kind of lead you on that one. We got some fucking earnings that came out.
Yeah, okay, we'll start with that then. Tesla just released their earnings. Some people are saying they beat earnings. On Robinhood, it's saying they missed earnings.
Yeah, Tesla first quarter, the earnings beat. I don't have the exact numbers here right at this second.
Tesla
they beat expectations, but they still lost money.
Here's the headline. Tesla beats expectation with $3.4 billion in revenue. 27 minutes ago.
Yeah, they made $3.4 billion in revenue, and they were expected 3.2. So they made an extra $200 million. but their adjusted loss per share, they lost $3.35 a share,
Losses.
and they were expected to lose $3. They expected to lose $3.58. But because they came in better than normal, they popped up. They're really not up that much. It's looking about $1 after hours.
It's not a lot. That's buying more.
There was some movement. There was some little pop up, and then there was some little pop down. I really don't know what's going on. I don't really know. I can never really trust after hours because I've seen things skyrocket after hours, and then the second that they open, they just get dumped.
Tanked, yeah.
I've seen it too much, so I don't like to dabble in after hours.
Tesla
Apple
beat
yesterday released.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, Tesla beat earnings.
Sorry,
but
I'm jumping the gun.
They still had negative earnings.
Yeah, they still lost money. They just lost less money than they expected.
It's pathetic.
I won't touch Tesla with monopoly money, as Mr. Peasley would put it. It's just, I think I've said this before on the show, but I really love their business and who they are and their mission and what they want to accomplish. But I don't trust companies that don't make money, especially the ones that sit at $300. Like, what? What? Is negative free cash flow a sign of, like, growth? I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'm not touching it. What about you? Where are you at on Tesla right now? You buying or shorting? You got to pick one. Go.
I'm buying right now. But
you're buying right this second, really?
You're
a little risky
than I am. Map up. I just feel like the hype's not done. Or the chart. I'm sorry.
I have the map.
I have the map to Tesla.
Davy Jones, we found the map.
Right, so they're down almost 7% on the year. You know, it's about a year ago that I said I was going to short Tesla, or if I was going to short Tesla, I'd do it now. It was around like January last year.
I mean, it was even higher then.
Yeah. Maybe
no,
I don't know.
January last year was at 244.
I'm just afraid, like, because
Elon Musk, she hit 383.
Elon Musk is like a very like powerful figure right now, and I feel like he can pull something out of his ass with that much debt. I just feel like there's like some miracle that I would not bet against him, but I wouldn't bet with him as well.
That's my thing. Like, it's kind of his status. Like, okay, for example, he has so much power and influence that I think investors will always write him a check no matter what. No matter how much money he loses, they will write him a check because of who he is and what he can and ultimately will do.
Yeah.
And I feel like investors will always write him a check for that reason. And, you know, it's kind of like, get out of the way. Like, we're going to make it happen. I just need the money to do it. And I feel like that's kind of how he operates. Most of his other companies are in massive amounts of debt, like Solar City. He bought that up, and it kept tanking because of debt and lack of a market. So Tesla bought out Solar City last year, or maybe 2 years ago, a little while ago. But like debt has always been like his thing.
I feel like
he's always been like
is a little ahead of its time. Like it should be.
It's the regulation.
Now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. But I feel like it should be.
It's the regulation.
It should be like one of the only sources of energy. Like, I don't know. I feel like some are like unavoidable, like nuclear energy. Like you can't. Can you power that with like the power of the sun? I mean, with the power of the sun itself, yeah. But like with the energy it creates, you know, heats up the panels and shit. Can you create nuclear energy with that?
It reflects it. It reflects it. If that was covered on the Earth, it would also reflect that heat back up in the atmosphere. Like you just had glass solar panels all over the place. Jesus, well, like that's just. I'm real quick. I'm on his Wikipedia page. Real quick, he got married to this lady. I don't Tallulah. I want to say Tallulah Riley. Married her in 2010, then divorced in 2012. But then again, married in 2013, and then divorced in 2016. The same one. Who? Like how? How are you gonna get married and divorced in 2 years, and then the following year say, let's give it another shot?
Yeah.
Like, is that what happened? That's stupid. I don't know. Whatever.
Elon Musk. SpaceX. I wish SpaceX had a
She was in
stock.
it.
I'd buy SpaceX. I'd buy one share of
Oh.
SpaceX and just ride that bitch. Sit on it for
I would
40
buy them
years.
only when the rockets explode. I would buy them every time a rocket.
Yeah, dude, you could predict it. You could short it as soon as it explodes. Watch it live.
Who else? Apple put out monster earnings. She's up about $10 on her news.
Microsoft had earnings, didn't they?
Did you watch her at all? Did you watch Apple's earnings at all, or look into them?
I didn't.
She's buying. They're buying back $210 billion worth of stock.
Holy moly, that's so much.
That's about 20. That's about 25% of all their market cap. They're purchasing back.
They're the biggest company on the market.
Oh yeah, and they're the biggest publicly traded company on the planet. Absolutely. There's other companies that are quote unquote bigger, but I mean these companies also they have different accounting practices and stuff, and you can show assets and stuff differently in different types and different styles. So like Saudi Aramco apparently has a $2 trillion valuation. And that was one of the problems with them wanting to list in the United States is that apparently our exchanges didn't like their valuations.
Well, because it was too high?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. But they still claim to be the biggest company. But yeah, Apple charged up about $10 a share, which, you know, that's a lot for that company. You know, it takes billions of dollars coming in to move that. And that buyback will, in theory, artificially push up that stock price. They're not going to buy $210 billion all at once, of course. They'll go over the course of 2 years, they said. But over the course of time, they're going to take some of those shares, they're going to take them out of the market. And that, you know, that gets rid of sellers and it keeps the buyers, the ones that holding on for dear life forever. It keeps those guys, it gives them the true value. And it gets rid of all the sellers and people who getting rid of their stock.
Right.
That also is good for earnings per share because if there's less shares that they have to pay out, they can pay more money to less shares. You know, like if I make $100 and there's 100 shares, I got to pay everyone $1. But if I make $100 and there's 50 shares, I got to give everyone $2.
So Apple beat earnings.
It's Apple beat earnings. It's kind of a way to like artificially just kind of manipulate stock price. But I mean, that's the way I look at it. I'm all for it. But yeah, remember it's all artificial when they're doing that kind of shit. That can really kind of build a bubble. You know, if a company just keeps buying back stock and that's how the price is going up, eventually those valuations will catch up to them. But yeah, that's just kind of my spiel. What else is going on in market news? I know we talked yesterday.
Yeah.
And we had some stuff we wanted to bring up.
Big one yesterday and this weekend. A couple things happened this weekend. Sprint and T Mobile merged. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
That's
how did we
news.
not bring that up?
Yeah, well, here it is.
Well, here you go.
You want to say something? You hear about the, when phone companies merge, short the towers?
You did say that.
How did Crown Castle do? Yeah, so I've heard people say when there's a merger of two telecom companies, you should short the towers, especially like a cell phone tower. One I looked up was Crown Castle. You know about
Crown Castle.
I think that's them.
Tell me about the like thought process on it.
Okay, just a second. It's a REIT, real estate investment trust company, which engages in the provision of access to wireless infrastructure via long-term contracts. So the idea is there's less clients, you make less money.
But I mean, there's still the same amount of clients. They're not getting rid of the towers because of Sprint.
Do you know?
I mean, unless they're downsizing Sprint.
Do you know that they're not?
Are they going to downsize Sprint?
Or maybe they'll do something else. Or maybe there was only contracts with one company and not another. Like what if Sprint only had contracts with Crown Castle, and T Mobile had better contracts, better deals with this other company, and they wanted to expand? Well, they're not using Crown Castle anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This is my theory.
And I get what you're saying. Interesting.
You like that?
Crown Castle, and that's a wireless tower REIT?
Yeah.
Or like, is it the land that the towers sit on?
Yeah, I don't know.
Giggity. I said sit on. At a quick glance, do you happen to know their dividend? Just because it's a REIT, and I always like to know what dividend a REIT pays.
And it's at $100.
That's solid.
$350.
$350 a year. Yeah, that's solid because numbers like 3.5% I like because that it's hefty, but it's not enough to where you gotta be like, okay, why? Like when you see those REITs that are paying 9.6%, you're like, okay, why? Like that's a little high. Is it sustainable? But 3.5% doesn't really ever seem to wave red flags right off the bat. So that's pretty good. I like.
So Crown Castle is down 4.18% in the past week, and that's about after Friday. They just went down. And that's like right after right on Monday they had that merger. So big news there.
That merger.
Big news there. I think one more thing I had was North Korea into South Korea. That's huge. We like to see that connection because we're allies with South Korea, right?
Yes.
And we're allies with China, right? That's the assumptions, right?
And we're apparently, yeah.
Yeah, so if that opens up to North Korea, we can lift up sanctions, and they stop their nuclearization. We lift up sanctions, now we open up trade. Now we're making more money. You want steel for trains to feed his people, let's just say. I don't know. This is just my ideas coming out. I don't know.
So on the whole, giggity. On the whole North Korea, South Korea thing, you're a politics guy, so you probably track this more than me. Where the fuck did he come from out of nowhere about all of this? Do you think China said, hey, do this, and then we can make this happen?
I don't know what happened, but...
Like, what made him just pick up the phone and say, I'm ready to give up?
Okay, so the new Secretary of State comes in. Rex Tillerson goes over and has talks with their... statesmen or whatever. I don't know what they call them over there. And things don't really go out the way Trump wants it to. And so he gets fired. Mike Pompeo, who was the head of CIA, is presumably the new Secretary of State, goes over to North Korea, has contact with Kim Jong-un, and then like a week or two later, maybe like less than 2 weeks, we're coming out with Kim Jong-un is the most peaceful guy in the world. So I don't know if it's something that Mike Pompeo said with the force of Trump hand with him. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm just trying to think. Like it's wild. I think I even texted you and I said, what if? And I think it's kind of happening. But I texted you and I was like, what if North Korea just said, we want American investors to start pouring money into us?
What would they invest in? What is the Korean economy? I don't even know.
Dude, like they would have to build one, which means it's just it's a fucking wild west. First thing that would happen is Goldman Sachs would draft up some sort of banking procedure for the entire country, and then they would I feel like they would build off of that. They would bring in like McDonald's. They would start making jobs. I mean, it wouldn't be flip of a switch. But I feel like billions would start to pour in over the course of months.
So you think we should just invest in North Korea?
I mean, you never know. I don't think invest in North Korea. I might say like some international stocks, some Asian. There's a lot of Asian Pacific funds, which I'm weary about. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm just ignorant. Maybe it's because I'm ignorant on them. But I don't know if I can. I am ignorant. I don't know if I can trust those stocks like Taiwan or Thailand semiconductor companies. Like, really, you can put your money in that? You trust that? But I mean, they say that's where the growth is. But I'm digressing. I feel like maybe some of those funds, or like a Korean focused ETF, which yes, they exist. If you know something like that, that might be a good way to play it. But I don't know if there's going to be peace relations. I mean, he's not just going to say, "Okay, we declare war. I'm going back to being a totalitarian." I feel like he's going to start to kind of like want to talk to different countries and see what's going on. And
do you want to hear what North Korea's exports are?
Do I want to know?
God, they're so lame. All right, minerals, metallurgical products. I'm sure I said that wrong. Manufacturers, including armaments, textiles, agricultural and fishery products, coal, iron, ore, limestone, graphite, copper, zinc, and lead. How many food, man? Like corn, pineapples. Can you imagine?
They need corn.
North Korean pineapples, the tartest pineapples you'll ever taste.
Ugh. Dude, they're so far north. Have you ever looked on the globe? I never realized how far north like Japan is and shit.
They're supposed to have like dank ski slopes.
I bet. Dude, yeah, ski resort in Pyongyang. Like, I've seen documentaries and stuff. Pyongyang. Yeah, during the I'm probably butchering that, but during the South Korean Winter Games, and they would show Pyeongchang. I kept going Pyeongchang, Pyeongchang. No, but I've seen a lot of documentaries. There's a lot of great documentaries and movies that are out about North Korea, and to be honest, like, it looks like a beautiful country. They have that hotel. I forget what it's called. But like, it's that very iconic, weird, triangular pyramid, 3D, tall ass skyscraper thing that just sticks out like a sore thumb in the middle of North Korea. I forgot what it's called, but it's some hotel. Like, I was like, oh, that looks like a dope hotel, man. You put a casino on the bottom floor, I'll play there. Shit. But yeah, ski resorts. You know, I just imagine it'd be. I mean, money would flow in. People would go, man, if it was safe.
North Korea has an gross external debt of $20 billion.
Who do they owe money to?
China, probably.
Oh, China.
They're
$20 billion is nothing.
Their imports on Wikipedia says their imports are higher than their exports. That's like literally negative. Like, you're paying for more coming in than you are.
Hey, someone's got to be a loser at the end of the day. It's just like in the stock market. Someone's got to make the losing trade.
Okay, it says 90% of imports come from China, so that's huge.
Huge. But because they're so in debt, China can say, okay, yeah, you're going to do this, and no, you're going to do this.
Yeah, but like you said, $20 billion.
That's nothing. In the grand scheme of the world, I guarantee you there are at least 50 companies in the S&P 500 that have $20 billion of debt. I guarantee it. That's nothing. Anyway, that's North Korea. I don't know.
That's about it.
Kind of what I'm.
Yeah, that's about it for market news with Nate.
Yeah, headlines keep just pointing to earnings, huh?
Yeah.
Everything just seems to be. You know, funny thing. We talk about Apple and its heavy diversity in the S&P. Like, you know how if you own the SPY, you basically own Apple. Like, it dominates the portfolio. It's like 30 to like 35% of the movement is based off of Apple and Boeing alone. So of course you would think, hey, the market's going to go up because Apple has that market cap. I always bring up that market cap that is able to pull the entire index with it. And Apple, of course, is the one to do that. And you would think, oh, they're going to pop up. They're having, they beat earnings. They're popped up. Everything else fucking sold off today.
Yeah, dude.
Like, Apple went up, and there were a couple other weird things that did well. GE had a day, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, most of everything sold off.
GE had a day, whatever.
Whatever.
The NASDAQ was down. Holy shit.
Yeah, everything was like. How is Apple going to surge like that Yeah, GE up 1%, like not much, but
That's
in the grand
1%.
scheme of everything today, like everything just went down. Berkshire's taking it on the chin, huh?
I was looking at that the other day. They were up like $1,000 the other day.
Nuts.
Could you imagine?
Nuts.
Put in 200K, instantly get 1,000 back.
What was that last stock I was just talking about before Berkshire? Oh, GE.
Yeah.
GE.
General Electric.
Anyway.
Light bulbs.
All right. So talking point today. This is just you don't know the topic.
Woo.
This is just it's something that it's kind of been on my mind, and it's another one of those subjective topics. I like those because they're I feel like they provoke our brains a little bit more, provoke some thought. What do you do? How do you get like emotional backing in investing? Like, for example, have you told someone close to you, whether it's a relative, girlfriend, sister, whatever, have you told someone that you're getting into it and they instantly discredit everything you're saying? You're crazy, gambling. How do you deal with that? Like, because it makes my blood boil.
Okay.
But before we jump to me, I really want to hear your thoughts and see if they kind of align with where I'm at.
Wait, what's your okay?
So basically, how do you handle it in general? Like so you say, so someone's like, oh yeah, so what are you doing? You're talking to your uncle, it's a Christmas party, and he's like, hey, so what are you doing? You're like, yeah, I'm just, I'm working full time, I'm paying off some of my debts. Oh yeah, that's good. You're like, yeah, I'm just getting big into the stock market, and they're like, oh, and then they instantly think like you're doing the riskiest thing. They don't know what you're talking about. You're gambling, and yeah, I did that once. I don't really understand it.
Here's what I think. Okay, so when you hear like, you don't really hear about the stock market when it like creeps up.
No, you don't hear about it when unless it's I get you.
But the times you like do hear about it are like big surges, of course, and like even bigger bull runs or bear runs. I'm sorry, like crashes.
Oh yeah, you hear about like, oh yeah, the market's gonna crash.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of like. Gives like it's in the news, like it comes up in the news, like Bitcoin's down 1,500%.
Like if it's big enough to talk about, I noticed that the local news stations will bring it up. Like I've seen it once or twice. Like the S&P up 212 points for the day. That'd be like a humongous move.
And I feel like that puts like an imprint on people's mind. Of like, oh, well, you're taking a risk. Well, I've heard about these, and it's like a flashing red light goes off. Whoa, I remember hearing the stock market was down this many points. If I would have put it in that day before, I would have lost, that much percent.
Yeah, the hindsight investing.
Excuse me, yeah. That's what scares people. It's hindsight investing.
And they look at the past and.
Hindsight investing works like both ways. Like it hypes you up, like, oh, I could have like bought down here at $20, and then it went up to $60. Yeah, anybody can drive like that. Everybody can chart like that. Yeah,
exactly. I feel like another part of that, like the people who are just discrediting everything about investing in the markets and stuff, and another thing about that is, just like you said, you don't hear about it when it's creeping up and like, Wall Street's just making money like normal. It's just the machine that it is. But you don't hear about that. But I feel like a lot of the stigma boils from history. Like we've heard of the stock market crash of the 20s and the Great Depression. A lot of us saw and lived through the tech bubble crash. In the 2000s.
Wasn't that bad?
There was the 80s, 1987. That day the Dow crashed in like 25% in a day. We've seen stocks plummet because of like September 11th and war. Yeah. We saw the financial crisis, and during each of those periods, stocks just got absolutely pummeled. And the headlines at those time were. Old people were returning back to work. People lost all their pension money. Companies going out of business, and I think that's exactly like when people hear stock market, I feel like the next thing that their brain that clicks in their brain is crash.
Housing market.
Like you hear you hear the words stock market and then you think crash. Like, it's just too easily thought of that way.
I feel like people like still think that the 2008 mortgage crisis was like a couple years ago.
It's what it feels like.
Just because it feels like that,
you feel like 2008. I feel like, okay, that was maybe 4 years ago.
Oh, fuck,
no, bro, that was a decade ago.
Yeah, we were still in high school, man.
Yeah, we were oblivious to it. The only thing I remember about all that stuff is, I mean, I had a job. I had nothing to worry about.
I was in high school.
Yeah, I was in high school. The only thing that really impacted me was that gas prices were high. Like, I had just got my car and gas was like $4.20 a gallon.
You had a big truck.
It was ridiculous. My first car was a mid-size truck. I had a Dakota, but then when I got the white truck, the prices had come back down. 2010, we were good.
It was a big truck.
It was just an F-150, 2-door.
Long Ford.
Oh, but I had it on. I did have like a leveling kit and some tires, so it was kind of big. I miss it, man. It was a fun truck, man. Riding with the windows down, smoking a Black and Mild. Those were the days.
That's so lame.
Those were the days. God, I love high school. But anyway, so do you like? So, for instance, my girlfriend, I tell her about stocks, and she'll listen. She'll be excited about it because I'm excited about it, but she won't do it. Like, she doesn't. She just can't pull that trigger, and she just has that. Like, it's just, she doesn't understand like why I'm so immersed in it and why I think that everyone should arm themselves with this knowledge. Like, she doesn't quite get all of that yet. And so like she's learning, and I'm hoping as time goes on she'll be more into it. But when I'm talking to like my family and my family and maybe even some of my friends, they'll just be like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah," and then they just like let it go. And they don't really think twice about it. And I don't know, do you have that same kind of thing? Like, they don't really care. They don't really see what you're doing, that it's all important, and it just seems to be that hobby that you have, and that's the thing that you do.
No, my family fully supports my investing.
Got that? But have you ever got that from any of like your friends or maybe even your girlfriend?
No.
Never?
No, I've always gotten like full support. I mean, I've gotten like some friends that are kind of think it's just like a little like gambling habit, but like in the long run, I mean, like right now it's a little bit of money, but I mean, like, you start early.
Yeah,
it's gonna be not just like, oh, he was that kid gambling in the stock market. It's oh, he started saving early.
Eventually, there's that point where it becomes real. Like right now, it's not that real because you make a few bucks here, you make a few $20 there, a few $20 there, but there's gonna be that day in like 6-10 years when you've obeyed your rules and you've went back to like everything that you've learned and you've stuck with your system that works for you, and you're going to start clicking buttons, and it's going to be $600 here, $300 here, $800 there. And then when people see that, I feel like that's when it all kind of when the tide will completely turn. And
I need to reallocate my
they'll be
assets.
like, "Oh my god." Did that just come to you during my lecture?
Yeah. It did.
Well, what assets do you need to relocate?
Relocate?
Out of stock?
You mean reallocate?
Reallocate to? You pulling out of stock?
Yeah, I want to go full cash like you did. Sorry to fucking sell you out like that.
No, you're good. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I went into a covered call selling strategy. And that's where I want to be in this current market, maybe even long term. So that's where I'm at now. And of course, in order to do that, I went all cash, hit reset, and said, okay, let's calm down. Let's go back to the strategy.
That's what I need.
So that's where I'm at. If it's something that tickles your fancy.
I mean, I don't really want to do the covered call per se, but I just want to kind of get my core holdings back into check and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Kind of, you want to build around those cores.
Yeah.
A core strategy. Yeah. Have those like I like to call them pillars, like 4, maybe 5
your
pillars, 4 or 5 stocks
of your retirement.
that you like overweight in. Maybe they like each dominate. They each like 10 to 15% of your holdings. and then everything else around that, you have like, just little mini like stepping stones around all those, but around your major pillars. So, yeah, never a bad idea to reallocate. If something in your head is saying, I think I need to kind of reallocate and kind of change the sails per se. The winds are changing on the seas, the tides are changing. I need to adjust the sails accordingly. Never a bad idea to do so.
All right,
for sure.
Let's get back on topic. One of the other things
Going back to where I was.
One of the other things that I do.
There's gonna. Oh, I was still okay.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Skull. No, Skull.
No, it's good. Go ahead.
Okay.
You got shit to
No,
throw
basically
your
just
shit.
Just to kind of wrap up. No, I was saying like there's gonna be that time where you've stuck to your strategies and like all that like you've been making money, you've deposited those small amounts here and there as time goes on, and you've done it routinely and systematically and in a very disciplined fashion. And then when you're making those trades where it's like $400 here, $800 here, I made $1,200 here, that's when the other people who are going to be like, oh, wow, he was right. Wow, I can do this. I need to get in on that, and it's going to be way too late.
I always show people 10-year graphs.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can...
Of the S&P?
Of like the Dow Jones, companies that work out.
The blue chips.
Yeah. I show them 10-year charts. And that usually helps my defense. Because if you look over like 10-year periods, they average like 4% or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yearly?
Yeah, it's 8 to 12 is the average gain. But I mean that of course means like maybe you got like 5 here, 4 here, 16 there, and then lost 7 here. It's not all like 3 consecutive, of course. That would be nice. Can you imagine if it just like always went up? Like you couldn't sell a stock for lower than you bought it.
That'd be nice. You know what I'm ready for?
What are you ready for?
I'm ready for this fucking market to go back up.
I'm ready for the correction to be over. We're very sideways. Like I feel like we've hit bottoms, but we just keep bouncing here, and it's everything really, dude. It's everything.
Look at the 3-month Dow.
It's gross.
1 year Dow.
Dude, we were at like Dow 267. 26,700. And we just came tumbling down. We're at like 23,000 now. We got some room to rally here. And I'm ready for it.
Come on, sideliners, let's go.
I'm ready for these trillions and sidelines to come in.
Dude, the market wants to go back up.
It wants to. It's trying, dude. It's trying. But it's definitely taking the stairs up, but the escalator down. Have you noticed, like there was a time we had like 4 or 5 straight escalators. No, it's taking the stairs up and then the escalators down. So, like for example, we had like that 5-day Dow winning streak. I think it was just last week it ended. It was like last Wednesday, last Thursday, and we're already down from that. Like over the course of 5 days, it was like, oh yeah, big thing, Dow's finally, and maybe I was like, okay, maybe this is the momentum we need. One of the things that's really impacting that, though, is rising interest rates.
Yeah. Oh shit, that came out, didn't it?
Yeah, the Fed minutes came out. I knew they were happening this week. I gotta get more paying attention to it. I've just been so busy lately. But what do you know about it?
Okay, so they didn't raise rates as projected in the last meeting for the March minutes. And they said look for June raising rates.
Look for what?
Look for June rate hikes.
Okay.
So, long XLF, June. Don't cancel those calls, June.
Might be more sell-offs though.
Damn.
Interesting. So, because I think personally, a lot of the interest rate stuff is scare. I guess not stuff, but the interest rate scare is already built into the market.
What?
I feel like if they were to raise rates again tomorrow, I don't think the market's going to dip 3-4%. I don't think there's going to be any. Of course, we might sell off a little, and then the headlines will point to it, but it's not going to be anything to worry about. I feel like for the most part it's there, because this isn't going to be a shocker when they're like, oh yeah, we got to raise. Now if they came out today and said we're going to raise faster than we expected, now that's going to put a damper in things. But they're purposefully not trying to do that. That I hope they're not trying to do that.
Boom, 6% the next day.
But in the grand scheme of things, we want that, because if this market keeps continuing to dip, I'm going to buy it, dude. I'm going to buy it.
I always tell people, I said, when are you going to retire? And they're like, sometimes they're like, 40 years. For me, it's 40 years. Most people my age I talk to, they say 40 years. I said, are you willing to make a 40-year bet on the stock market? You can pull out charts. I mean, take a starting point. Take 10 years back. Take 15 years back. You pick.
Is that hindsight investing though?
Generally, the stock market goes up. That's what I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Has a general tendency to go up.
Yeah.
It's all about where you go back to the allocation thing. It goes back to like what you're investing in. If you're, if we're sitting here trying to get people to buy penny stocks, which I'm sure like when you talk to somebody who has no clue, they think that's what you're doing. They think you're trading like penny stocks, things that are like 3 cents and going to 5 cents.
Someone said that to me today. Like me and my buddy were talking about stocks, and someone overheard me. They're like, "Oh, you do any penny stocks?" And I'm like, "What? No."
No, absolutely not. You are not welcome here, sir. But I think, a lot of people, they think that's automatically like what you're doing. You're playing all these, and if when I tell people like, oh yeah, you should really kind of learn this and start to build your wealth, and every now and then you come across someone who is like actually interested, and you can kind of steer them in the right direction. But I've noticed for the most part, people don't give a shit, man. People are like, oh yeah, and it just like people view it as your hobby and that thing that you do. And I've learned like over the past few months, just don't beat a dead horse. Let them learn for themselves. If it's someone you love and care about, kind of push them, push them to save money more, be financially savvy. It doesn't necessarily have to be stocks. It can be bonds. It can be CDs, putting it in savings, money market accounts, something that is going to grow their money.
Maybe you're just not a personal person, and you're not good at explaining it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't want to hear how they should manage their money, and that's just the reality. Like, we have the best intentions, especially with the ones that we love. We have the best intentions to say like, look, I want you to do better for yourself. You should kind of start to put your money away here. And you're like, well, why should I put it here? People don't want to hear that. That's not necessarily your business. Now, sometimes people have sought me out. I've had my dad call me and ask stuff about like what should he do with his mother and some of the money she has. And I right off the bat was like, I can't guarantee anything, but this is what I know and this is what I would personally do if I was in charge of it. And he just kind of gave him a brief synopsis. And so you'll get people who want the guidance, but for the most part, people don't care and they don't want to hear it. So I've learned with them, ignore them, let them live their lives, let them figure out when they're 40 years old and they're opening their IRA.
Sometimes I hear people whenever I tell them a stock, so what are some good stocks? I was like, well, there's the whole, you can teach a man you can give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but you can teach a man to fish and he'll eat for life or whatever. Like I can tell you what's a good stock, but I'll tell you why it's a good stock as well. I'll break it down for you.
That's what I would rather do. I'd rather say like, not only like, I don't want to give you the ticker. I want to say, hey, here's who I am as an investor. This is the things I like, and this is the stocks I like because of that. That's usually what I tell people. I point them to dividend funds.
Do you usually tell them that you're gluten free?
I try to. I walk up and I say, hey, look, I'm the gluten-free Jason Bessing. If you have any wheat near you, I can't help you. And we don't invest in Kellogg's, Post, basically General Mills, any gluten products, any gluten-containing companies.
Okay.
We don't invest in beer. But no, honestly, like when a lot of people like they say like they're ready to go, they're just like, yeah, I got some extra money. I point them to dividend funds, like fuck the S&P, dude. I don't got time for that. That's boring. I think it might be like their most diverse and simplest option, and that's one of the ones I'll explain to them. I'll say, get an index fund, but if you're ready to go, I'll point them towards dividend funds.
What about like
PEY, DVY? Not necessarily stocks per se, especially as someone who's just starting out, because I don't like to.
Well, what if they're
I don't
starting
want
out
to
like
say
at a
like go.
younger age? I would be like, yeah, you should get these are good dividend paying stocks.
Mm-hmm. I've done that. I work with some younger people coming fresh out of high school, beginning college, and they're working full time for the first time. They're starting to get paychecks, and I've had the pleasure of kind of guiding them into investing, kind of teaching them more. And I've said to them, like, I've used Coca Cola as an example.
I use Coca Cola.
That like Coca Cola has raised their dividend like every year for the past, like, ever since they started or something like that. And I know they've never missed a dividend payment. I always explain, like, yeah, you got to think of the business of it. Yeah, Coca Cola is going to struggle. There's going to be trends where people don't want to drink soda, but you work here at Chick-fil-A and you see how much Coca Cola we sell every hour. Like, Coca Cola is not going away. They might have to sell off some divisions one day, and they might take a huge dip, but Coca Cola is not going away. And it is a very good company. It is run very well. It has been here long before us. It's going to be here long after us. Weren't they starting like the 60s?
They put
like
cocaine in their drink.
Some old number. I'm gonna get that exact date, but yeah, that's exactly what I'll do. I'll point them to some funds that I like, but if they really are ready to go and they understand what they're doing, I'll point them into some stocks. I've recommended Ford to many people. If you want to set it and forget it stock, throw it in Ford. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't look at. Don't watch it. Just collect your check.
You don't think Ford's just going to tumble?
It could. I don't think it'll tumble. I don't think it'll go out of business. I think it will struggle. There's going to be times where it struggles. There's going to be years where the car market flies. There's cycles. There's going to be years where everyone's getting new cars and, bank rates are so low on new car loans and shit. And the car market is Ford's selling out inventory. The new Mustang is the highest flying thing. That day will come within the next decade. I can guarantee it. But I think the opposite is also true. Next month they're stopping to cut their
production.
They're cutting production like 98%, and that's going to save tons of money. That's going to save production costs.
Cash on hand.
Put more cash on hand. They already have tons of cash on hand. They have the most cash reserves of any automaker. So if there were a recession, they're going to pay that dividend. I want a recession because I think that dividend will not only be sustainable, but it will not be cut. So if the stock price cuts down like 15 to 25%, I think the dividend's fine, baby. I think it's fine, baby. That's my personal opinion, though. Right here, introduced May 8th, 1886.
Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola.
Long KO?
Long KO, baby.
All right. I think that's about an episode. What do you think?
I like that. That was a good episode. That was fun, man. That was fun. What are you watching this week?
Let's see. What am I watching? Am I watching anything new? Am I
Do
watching
I need to start?
old?
Do I need to start?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start.
Okay, I'll start. I don't think I've used this one before. She is one of my favorites. Hasn't been ever since I've watched her, actually. Yum China.
Ooh, YUMC.
Yum China owns KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and there's a few other segments underneath that. They spun off of Yum Brands, and they created their own Chinese division under its own company and its own ticker symbol. And their purpose is solely to expand in China and to the Chinese market. One reason I like China overall as an investment, long term. They are going through the middle classification. They're making more money. They're having more discretionary money, so they're going out to eat more. They also go fucking batshit crazy over KFC in Asia. They go fucking crazy over it. I've looked at their website. The Yum China. If you look at the KFC China menu, dude, some of those places are like the size of entire restaurants, entire buildings, like take up 3 or 4 restaurant spaces in a plaza. like 3 or 4 offices. Like they're huge and they're always packed. So I like China because of that. I like the restaurant space. I like Yum China because it has $0 of debt. It is 100% equity. That is very, very important if you're trying to expand as a company. Technically, she has not done well for about the past year. Been very sideways. I first dabbled in her in like the mid 40s, and then she has just been struggling between 39 and 42 for the longest time. So today she dropped 12.88% and is down a little over 10% for the month, but 21% for the past 3 months. She's down. She's at $36.99, so $37. She dropped. Her earnings were not very good. The biggest problem that they're struggling with Pizza Hut. Everything else is making money and expanding except for Pizza Hut, and that's pulling down. That's a third of their business, and if a third of your business can't get off the ground, that's not going to make your numbers look good. So Pizza Hut is struggling over in China, apparently, if you can believe that. And it's not something I'm buying now. This is a stock that I've watched for like probably 18 months now. And I might be excited to pull the trigger. If I could get it under 35, I'll be really happy. I'll take it from like 35 to 45. I'll sell the 45 call. Ooh, that's an idea, baby.
All right.
What are you watching?
What am I watching? I'm watching a small company called Blue Apron.
Blue Apron. You just went there.
They have earnings tomorrow. It's a cheap stock, man. $2.12. I can't recommend putting your whole life savings into it, but if you wanted to, it's up after hours, 0.9%.
Are we buying calls or are we buying puts?
You want a strangler?
I don't know if she'll move enough to strangle.
I'm still trying to find the volume on her.
She would need to have like a significant move for a nice strangle or straddle.
1.09 volume.
If you're not an options trader, we probably lost you. And that's okay. It's not an easy game.
We're here to help. Email us at rebeltradinggroup@gmail.com. That's Rebel Trading Group with 2 G's at gmail.com.
Questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, or insults.
Preferably all the above. Listed in bullet format.
Before we end, why are you watching Apron? What's just for the earnings play?
They have earnings tomorrow.
Cheap,
yeah, I want to see what she does tomorrow. I want to see how she reacts. Because there might be some puts.
Scumbag stock.
Depending, I'll try and play the earnings as soon as possible tomorrow morning.
Are they before market?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I will be awake for those earnings.
I'll be awake for it.
Awake and heading to work.
Yep.
Yay.
Okay, let's head out of here. What is today's date? Today's date
All
is
right.
May 2nd, 2018. We'll be back on Friday.
I hope we can do Friday. Yeah. I am good for a Friday episode.
We need our Let's See You Monday outros.
Yeah, we gotta have it there. We gotta have it there.
Yeah.
Until then, fucking happy fucking trading. Good luck and make all the money.
Yeah, let's get out of this correction. All you sideliners, get the fuck in. Let's dive. Let's
got cash on the sideline. Just start buying. Buy the market.
Just buy S&P funds. Just go. Start buying them now.
Market orders. Go.
Market orders.
All right, Nathan. I had fun. I'll see you on Friday.
Bye.